There's a big right-wing party going on down in Washington, D.C., right here in Washington, D.C. right now. It's called the Conservative Political Action Conference. It's a once-a-year shindig where conservative elites cozy up to each other and denounce the evil liberals. I've done my radio show live from CPAC every year for the past 5. It's amazing to see the parade, from true believers to con men to outright shills for big polluting industries. This year, being an election year, CPAC has one overriding theme: bash President Obama and perpetuate all the lies and misinformation they can about him. Here's an example.
How does a nation that's blessed by an extraordinary supply of American exceptionalism submit inch by creeping inch to the totalitarian state that's descending upon us? How do we submit to something like Obamacare?
We credit our brave troops for winning the war in Iraq at a very tremendous cost. But the president recently chose intentionally to lose the peace. After a decade of effort to defeat global jihad, Obama, for the sake of his political re-election, has chosen to hand Iraq to the Iranians.
No one knows more about these personal attacks on President Obama than Bill Press, who quite literally just wrote the book on it. Bill is the host of the Bill Press Show from 6 to 9 a.m. Eastern Time on radio stations all across the nation. He's also the author of 6 books, including his newest, The Obama Hate Machine: The Lies, Distortions, and Personal Attacks on the President and Who is Behind Them. Bill, welcome.
Tom, it's so good to see you. This CPAC meeting is like the meeting of the Obama hate machine.
It is. It really
seriously,
is.
They're all there.
Or
they will be in the next 3 today and the next 2 days.
Yeah.
They're all going to line up, and they're all going to go over the top the way Steve King always does, right? A totalitarian regime we've got under President Obama.
I know, it is totally bizarre. I said I've been there every year for the last...
At Radio Row, I know.
Yeah. In 2008, I was there, and sitting next to me, I think it was Sean Hannity, and Dick Cheney was on his show. And I was sitting there with a couple of cameras, and I'm talking on the radio, and I said, Dick Cheney's sitting right next to me. Wonder what I should do. And the people on my screen were just like screaming at me in giant letters, look behind you. And I turned around, there's a Secret Service guy with his hand on his gun right behind me. Anyway.
Whatever you do, don't go quail hunting with him.
Yes.
No, but there's an example. Sorry. Sean Hannity, who said the other night, just a couple of nights ago, that if Barack Obama had his way, Osama bin Laden would still be alive. And he said he has a tape to prove it.
Right.
Now, this is just total nonsense. I mean, who went after Osama bin Laden? Who gave the directions? Who gave the orders to get him? Who approved the plan?
It was Barack Obama.
It was Barack Obama.
And who twice said, I don't think so much about bin Laden. I don't really care about bin Laden.
George W. Bush.
Right.
And this idea that there's a tape out there that proves that Barack Obama didn't really want to go get...
But Sean's not going to share it with us.
Yeah, no, exactly. You know what it is? It's like the Whitey tape, remember? Michelle Obama and the Whitey tape during the campaign, which Sean had, they talked about Fox News all the time. We never heard that tape. Never.
Yeah,
it didn't exist.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's like the secret journals from the 1886. Well, that's a whole long... Anyway,
there we go.
This president seems to have faced more personal attacks than any previous presidents. A number of people have suggested that it's largely because of his African-American heritage. But others have suggested that, no, it's just, I mean, that's probably a piece of it. Certainly the racist vote is out there, exaggerated because of this. But others have suggested that we're just at a time when politics have gotten more vitriolic than probably since the McKinley administration and maybe since the Civil War. You're pretty savvy on this stuff. What's your take on this and looking at the big arc of things?
Boy, it's so complicated. I went back and just looked at personal attacks against presidents. And let me back up and say, I think you and I both agree, criticism of any president is legitimate. That's who we are as Americans. Sure. I go to the White House every day for the briefings. Every day there are people in front of the White House who are protesting something, some policy. And you know what? I'm always glad to see them. It makes me feel like, we can do this, right? Yeah. But the attacks against this president have been personal and ugly and negative. And part of it is, I think, that we live in that politics has descended to that level or gone back to it. I mean, if you go back to Thomas Jefferson versus John Adams, That was pretty ugly personal stuff too. But since then, I think Barack Obama has been the target of more, again, personal ugly attacks than any president since Abraham Lincoln that I could find.
Well,
and Lincoln, whom we consider Saint Abraham, in his day, he was reviled. They made fun of his teeth, his face, his
Well, he had the
his
Civil
gait,
War,
his-
and in the case of Adams and Jefferson, I mean, 2 years before that election, Jefferson literally left town the day that Adams signed the Alien Sedition Acts, and Adams then threw into jail all 18 editors of all 18 newspapers that supported the Anti-Federalists, that supported Jefferson's party. So, I mean, there was some considerable animus there, something that you could actually point to. What has Obama done that the hate machine can actually point to?
No, nothing. But I think it's, to me, I analyze it this way, that he is, for the Republicans, right, his policies really are not that radical at all.
I wish they were.
Same here. I say in the book, I wish he were the liberal that they accuse him of being. I wish he were the leftist, right?
Yeah.
He's not. I wish he were the socialist. Bernie Sanders, another one in the White House, it would be great. He's not. So they can't go after his policies because his policies reflect so much. Look at the auto bailout. Who started it? Not Barack Obama, George Bush. Look at TARP. Who started it? Not Barack Obama, George Bush.
Well,
He continued
Bush
it.
even signed it.
So they have to go after him on the personal level to try to bring him down. And what they've done is, the word I use is the othering of President Obama. Now, part of that is his skin color, but this is not a book saying
And
it's a
his name.
racist. His name, product of a mixed marriage.
Yeah.
He was not born on mainland America. Maybe he wasn't even born in the United States at all. He spent time when he was growing up in Indonesia. He's got a name like Barack Hussein Obama. So they take that and paint him as not like a regular American, not even a regular American. They have never accepted, never accepted him as a legitimate president.
Yeah. In writing this, I mean, this is a not inconsiderable book, and there's a lot of really good and important stuff in here. In writing this book, I'm curious, what was the thing that most surprised you, Bill Press?
I think it was the Koch brothers and how, and by the way, the people who are behind this Obama hate machine, Charles and David Koch, they are the
Uniquely, or
almost but they're the principal players. We know Warren Buffett, we know Bill Gates, right? Who knows the third and fourth wealthiest men in America with a combined wealth of $50 billion? Charles and David Koch. We don't hear about them. They have given more money to politics than anybody else. George Soros is a penny pincher compared to these guys, and they are everywhere. Tom, the Obama hate machine, the Koch brothers. The Heritage Foundation, Koch brothers. Cato Institute, the Koch brothers. The Tea Party, who put the money up for the buses, for the rallies? The Koch brothers. Freedom Works, Dick Armey's operation, the Koch brothers. Americans for Prosperity, the Koch brothers. 2 weeks ago, they had a meeting in Palm Springs with their corporate buddies. They pledged $100 million to defeat Barack Obama this year. And that's just one meeting. They'll have another meeting in the fall. So these guys are everywhere. Scott Walker in Wisconsin, the Koch brothers. John Kasich in Ohio, the Koch brothers. You know what? Some people call their operation the Kochtopus, because they have so many arms and they're so I didn't realize how extensive their operation was. That's just
well, it's sort of
mind-boggling.
It's the realization of Fred, their dad's vision when he started the John Birch Society. In some ways, of putting. Although I think he had a genuine fear that communism was going to destroy America. Do you think that these guys have a genuine fear that Obama is going to destroy America? They must know that he's not a socialist.
I think they have a misguided fear that Obama is going to destroy America based on what I don't understand, because Koch Industries, like most corporations in this country, are making more money than they ever did before.
Yeah.
They have benefited immensely from the Obama administration and the policies here, and yet they really see him as the enemy of American capitalism. And I think he's the engineer of American capitalism. If you look at what's happened in the last
Well, I mean, you can look back in history and see that Franklin Roosevelt saved American capitalism, and he went a whole lot farther than Obama has. And I think, frankly, Obama's going to have to go more in that direction if he's going to save American capitalism.
There's another interesting parallel here, you as an historian know, is that with Franklin Roosevelt, it was the DuPont brothers. There were 5 of them that went after Franklin Delano Roosevelt, and he took them on with glee. By
These
the way.
economic royalists
Yeah,
hide behind the flag and the Constitution.
They have met their match in the first 4 years. In the next 4 years, they will meet their master, he said,
right.
at Madison Square Garden. It was great. And then Bill Clinton had Richard Mellon Scaife,
Right.
just one guy, corporate. So now the next iteration is the Koch brothers funding this whole, fueling this whole hate machine against Barack Obama.
Is there in this?
I wish he would take them on the way Franklin Roosevelt did.
He just authorized people to give money to his super PAC, not his super PAC, but the
Yeah.
one that supports him, which only has like $6 million in it or something like that.
all they raised.
Relatively small.
All they
amount of money.
raised the last couple of years.
And Mitt Romney spent twice that much, and or his super PAC spent twice that much in South Carolina and Florida. What, in the minute we have left, what is the future of this campaign? How can you go up against two brothers who literally could take the amount of money they make in a year and drop it into a campaign and change the White House and probably half the House and the Senate?
I hate to say it, but I think the only way you can go up against them is you're never going to match them, but just to raise as much money as you can, given the opportunities you have. I know you're going to be talking about super PACs later. You know, I think they're abhorrent, but they are legal today. And if the other side is using the super PACs to raise as much corporate money as they can, I think you have to meet them on their ground. And
I would add to that.
I hate to
activism.
say that, but
I would add to that grassroots activism.
Oh, totally.
We need to get as many people engaged as possible with shoe leather. And we got
yes,
quick point.
Just quick point. And did you see half of Obama's donors were $200 or less?
There you go. There you go. Bill Press, thanks so much for being with us.
Great.
The book, The Obama Hate Machine: The Lies, Distortions, and Personal Attacks on the President and Who is Behind Them. Check it out.